This morning on Level Plus.
Hello, good morning and welcome to the morning show. It's this morning here on Love World Plus. How do you do? Did you have a good night rest? I will assume that you did. And I'm also thinking you probably did dream a bit about the just concluded IPPC for 2017. And if you did, it's fine. I mean, it does happen. It can happen. Maybe it even should happen. I mean, we're still reliving the beautiful moments of that conference. So it's okay to relive it. It's okay to dream about it. It's okay to think about it. And most importantly, we ought to imbibe all that we received and all that we learned. My name is Zoe Okaf. It's a pleasure having you today.
All right, welcome back. It's still this morning on Level Plus. We'll be discussing an issue just took place recently over the weekend, the Anambra elections, with the incumbent governor, Willie Obiano, emerging the winner. Well, there have been a lot of reactions to that controversies. Elections within within Nigeria is really never devoid of controversy or reactions. Well, a recent report said vote buying in Anambra government elections was adjudged one of the worst since Nigeria's return to democracy. Well, that's what the report says, according to Clement Nwankwo, Executive Director, Policy and Legal Advocacy Center, PLAC, who said this in Oka, the state capital. I have with me my guest here.
Our guest.
Yeah, our guest, yes. And interestingly, his name escapes me now.
Nnamdi Abana.
Nnamdi Abana, yes. Yes, Nnamdi. When I was trying to look through the, intro to this discussion, there's so many reactions coming to it on the back. Now, looking at the contestants, we had Oseloka Obaze.
Yeah.
We had Tony Nwoye. Yeah. We had Ezemo, okay,
Osita
and
Chidoka.
Osita Chidoka.
Yeah.
One of the candidates did say that he lost to superior
financial
firepower. Firepower. That's the way he put it.
Well,
it's very dramatic, the way he put it. But one thing that is comforting, according to a lot of analysts and reports, is that all candidates, at the end of the day, still congratulated the winner.
Except the PDP candidate.
Except the PDP candidate.
He's backtracked.
Yeah. Which he's backtracked.
He's backtracked.
Yes,
he has considered defeat.
He's considered defeat now, which I think is a good development for democracy. I mean, the growing democracy. But looking at the whole elections, what's your take on,
Well, Anambra election has always been referred to as what people term the guinea pig. It's a state that defines the politics of the nation. If you observe, once the election, Anambra election is around the corner, everybody is interested and everybody wants to know what is actually going to happen. Remember, if you start talking about the political capital of godfatherism in Nigeria, you make reference to Anambra State. And that actively played out in this election.
How?
Okay. Well, let's look at the PDP candidate. It's common knowledge that the PDP candidate was, the secretary to the government, secretary to the state government, while P2B was still in power. So he worked hand in hand with his boss. And in this election, P2B stood behind him. In fact, it has been said that in most campaigns, the guy wasn't allowed to talk. P2B came out to do the campaigning, to do the campaign. So it's already established. Then the APC candidate, Tony Nwoye, we saw Atoeze, Atoeze is a financial mogul, a staunch businessman that knows how to connect with politicians across boards. We saw Atoeze supporting Tony Moye. You know, so most of the political actors in Anambra State, you know, they have
so who supported the governor? Who supported the winner?
Well, the governor doesn't really need a godfather. But if we look
he's the godfather now.
Yes, if we look at the antecedents, before he emerged as governor of Anambra State for his first term,
Peter Obi was his godfather.
Peter Obi was his godfather.
Yeah.
You know, it's part of our political culture. When you are sponsored by a godfather, once you get to the political office,
you become
a godfather and you sack, you know, your godfather. So that is exactly what played out. The resources of Anambra people, you know, became, you know, the godfather in quotes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Henry quoted something attributed to Clement Nwankwo. Yeah, what did you say?
He lost to superior financial.
No. Okay. Clement Nwankwo, when you said, when you described the election.
Yes, as the worst, the record, as in terms of rigging.
Votes buying or something?
Vote buying, yes. As
one thing you must know about, at least, I've been in several elections in Anambra State, and he's telling the truth. Lots of politicians won't come out to tell you the things that goes at the background. How the modus operandi of the campaigning and the politicking. What most political parties do is that they map out some funds which is targeted towards influencing the voter behavior. You can't contest for an election in Anambra State without having enough financial
we're even told that some officials were caught.
I'm coming. These firstly, they have branded cars for their campaigns. Secondly, they go house to house. You see some political parties dropping bags of rice in every home. Some of the key political influencers are giving cars, and after the election, the car, you know, it becomes their personal property. A lot is going on. Then what about at the polling center? You see voters being influenced. Candidates will come around and they will surreptitiously bribe the voters to vote for their candidate. So it eventually goes to the highest bidder. Then some political parties, some supporters of certain political parties will come out and say, okay, yes, we are supporting you. We are here to vote for you, but you have to grease our palms. So a lot goes on during election, especially in Anambra State.
Can there ever be an end to such acts? It's not just in Anambra State.
It will take a very long time.
Because it happened also in Ondo State too.
It started with, well, it didn't start with Fayose. We saw the politics of stomach infrastructure, where Fayose was giving out bags of rice and other, you know, other items to voters to influence the voter behavior. Most of them voted for him. So that seems to be the mainstay of Nigerian politics, because the electorate are yet to come up to a certain political consciousness where where they should know that their vote is actually their power.
Is it that the electorate have been impoverished by the system, or deliberately, so that they would be susceptible to this, you know, inducements?
That is a factor, because we have lots of struggling. I don't want to use the word poor, but lots of people are struggling. And Anambra is basically, okay, take Oka for instance. Oka and its environs is basically a civil service environment. Then Onitsha is the commercial nerve center. But in general, in totality,
the state is a civil service state.
The state is a civil service state, and most people, they don't, their earning power is very minimal, so they can actually be influence.
So they look forward to elections like this?
Yeah, people do.
Not just to
Not
vote.
just to vote, but to make money.
It creates employment.
To make money.
Okay, I certainly hope
It's
that at this juncture we can open the phone lines and really get maybe your comments and contributions concerning the recently concluded Anambra state elections. What is your position about it? Well, talking about the incumbent now who has been re-elected, Willie Obiano, he's been, you know, touted as doing a lot of development projects within the state. We've seen some of the things, we've heard reports, you know, on television and you know, on media, saying that he has, you know, done a lot to rejuvenate the state economically in terms of agriculture. The export of rice should commence, according to reports, anytime soon.
Or has commenced.
That has commenced. So, you know, in terms of the economy of Anambra State, it seems it has taken, you know, a positive, you know, route.
In addition to what Henry is just asking you now, these reports, because we know people who have reports, but when you get on ground,
I'm coming to that.
Right.
I'm coming to that.
So we need to differentiate from the actual and just, you know, reports here. It doesn't, based on what we've heard, and we've heard about Governor Willie Obiano, he's positively affected the lives of people in Anambra State to deserve a re-election.
Well, one thing I can say for certain is that Governor Obiano has been paying salaries.
Which is very important.
But when it comes to his agricultural policy and the industrialization, I should believe that after 4 years, I should be able to see one or two things that lends credence to his claims. Okay? I've interacted with several people in the state, and most of them, I was like, okay, if Anambra has become an agrarian state, we are producing rice. You know, there was a time they said that Anambra exports vegetables, even though it was very, very controversial because people came for his neck. Sahara reporters wrote, they analyzed it and tore it apart. They said, how can you export vegetables, perishable? You said, can you preserve Ogo? You know, the governor wasn't able to defend that strongly.
So he backed out of that.
Yes. Then if you talk about, okay, I also heard about exportation of rice, the export of rice. Okay, the question is, before you start talking about export, there ought to be enough for local consumption. Local consumption. So in the state, is the rice being consumed by the Anambra?
What is the price of rice within the state?
Yes.
Has it dropped to?
Has it dropped? Has it affected? You know? So somebody, when I was reading different reports, an allegation came up. I called it an allegation. It was alleged that the rice comes from Abakaliki and that they are rebagged. Some of them are rebagged in Oka.
Okay.
But we are yet, you know, we are yet to ascertain if that is true. Because if really there is an industrialization policy and agricultural policy, we should be able to see factories, rice production, rice mills, rice production factory, you know, warehouses for agricultural products. So we should be able to see things that are tangible. We should have tangible evidence to lend credence to his claims. Politicians are very, very, you know,
interesting.
They're very, very interesting people.
Cosmetic.
They thrive.
Okay.
They thrive.
Shegun has got the word there. It says cosmetic.
Yeah, they thrive in, you know, in propaganda. So every Nigerian should be able to sieve out the truth from propaganda. Some governors are working, but you know they have a way of magnifying their work. So we should be able to sieve out propaganda from the truth. Whatever claim they are making, there should be empirical
Evidence.
to lend
There should be
credence
facts
to
and figures
whatever
to
they are
support.
saying. If you are saying you are exporting rice, tell us how many tons you've produced. We want to see the factories. We want to see the process of production. And we want to see the documents that lend credence to what you're saying. You don't just come out and bamboozle everybody and you expect them to believe you.
Okay, now, the governor remains on the saddle.
Yeah.
Time is fast spent.
What agenda will you set for him?
What is the agenda to set for Willie Obiano going forward?
Going forward, the agenda to set for, he should focus on human capital development. He should focus on education. He should focus on education. Then he should focus on the economy of the state. Anambra shouldn't...
Is there any room for, and for the opposition? Because what we find in, these climes is that it's a winner takes all. Doesn't the opposition have a role also to play in developing the state?
It is very, very unfortunate that, the opposition is not integrated, as part of the government. However, the opposition shouldn't rest on their oars. Okay. What I've observed in Anambra State politics is that once the result is declared, the opposition, they take to going to court. That is right. You don't have to fight with guns, with bullets. Go to court and go there and prove your case. If you're able to prove it, then remove the governor. But in governance, the opposition should be on their toes. Every policy of the government has to be properly scrutinized, including the budget, the spending, and that is the essence of democracy. You talk about checks and balances. That is what an effective opposition does. Before APC became the ruling party, I'll give them the credit. APC effectively tackled the PDP government. They capitalized on
APC was a vibrant opposition
every loophole of the PDP. And that gave them an edge. Lai Mohammed did a good job as the chief propagandist of APC. That is what I expect to see in Anambra State. Surprisingly, APC, despite all odds, came second in the election. I thought they would be number 4 or number 3 based on the antecedents and what recently happened in Anambra State, in the southeast, the Operation Python Dance. When that exercise was done, I said, oh, APC, they've nailed their coffin in Anambra State. But surprisingly, they were able to prove a point. Now they are the second most popular political party in Anambra State, which has never happened before. So the structures, the political structures, in the APC political structures in the state should ensure that Obiano is on his toes. They should ensure that he performs. And hold him
accountable to his
and hold him accountable by capitalizing on some of his, loopholes.
All right, that's apparently all that we can take. I want to thank Nnamdi Abana, legal practitioner and the social commentator, for joining us on the show talking about the Anambra elections. Nnamdi, it's been a great pleasure having you.
My pleasure, too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Some other time. It is certain that going forward, the people of Anambra State have their role to play in governance. They must not sit on their hands and expect that the food will fall on their laps. They have to engage government. They have to hold government accountable. As stakeholders, all must work together to achieve progress for the state. We'll leave it at that.